Hello children, in the first lesson of social science, what, how and when, we have discussed why do we study social science. We all human beings perform different tasks. For performing different tasks, we depend on each other, like doctors, teachers, and we celebrate festivals. We go to market for shopping, our farmers. So we all are depend on each other for each and every activity. Next is the meaning and why do we study history. Meaning of history. History is a true story of human growth and civilization. Reasons for study history. It helps us to understand events and their causes. See children, history is the true story of human growth and civilization. It provides us an opportunity to understand the growth and development of human society over the ages. It helps us to understand events and their causes. It helps us to understand ourselves, our roots, and defining episodes of our lives by helping us link our life to the past. We study history through written and unwritten records. Here I'm talking about the true story of human growth and provides opportunity to understand the growth and development. I will explain this with some examples like communication, means of communication. We have got so many communications. Let me ask you something. What you need to do if you want to talk to someone? Definitely nowadays we can talk over phone. Now I'm talking to you over phone. Imagine 100 years ago when your grandfather was a kid. That time do you think they could have called just like you? No. So it was very much difficult. They used to write letters. So imagine 1000 years ago, that time our communication was very restricted. So people, they were only talking to each other when they were close to each other or near to each other. So 50,000 years back or 1,00,000 years back, when people, they were not knowing talking or communication, so how they were interacting to each other? Only with the body languages. So how the communication developed over the years. And other example children, history of transportation. Have you ever tried to know how people used travel in past? See children, they were not having any means of transport. They used to go only their foot with the help of animals. So their journey was tired. One day they were surprised to see circular piece of wood. After several day imagination, they invented wheel. So we can see the result of wheel nowadays. So until the beginning of the 19th century, people still depend on the animal and the power of transport them from place to place. Another achievement was in the transportation, means of transportation. In 1776, James Watt invented a steam engine. So we can see the network of railways and the many other machineries which runs with the help of steam engine. And the Wright brothers first, they were successful invented aeroplane in 1903. So as we have seen, the this is a means of transport has evolved from the invention of the wheel. And we can see now we can traveling to the space also. So not only these example children, we can take some examples for our famous people who have achieved so many things. Okay, like Mahatma Gandhi is there, Rani Jhansi, Abraham Lincoln, our poet Kabir. So their life stories, their ideology, even now also, their story lives impress the people, so they give the values to the common people even now also. So whatever we are learning from their lives, we can implement in our life, so to make our life in a better way. How do we study history and sources of history? Our historians have divided the past into two periods, prehistory and history. Prehistory is that period of history when human beings did not know how to read and write. And history is the period after writing was invented. and it is the period for which written records are available. Sources of history. The material used by historians in their study of history are known as sources. So we are having archaeological sources, literary sources, and oral sources. Archaeological sources. Archaeological is the study of past culture and how people lived based on the material remains left by people long ago. Many of these remains have been found buried deep under the earth and are excavated by our archaeologists. So archaeological sources helps us where no written records of an era are available. So in archaeological sources we are having monuments, objects, inscription and edicts, coins, burial sites. Monuments are old buildings, forts, palaces, temples, tombs built by different rulers. These are useful sources of information which helps us to understand more about an era or ruler. Objects include tools, weapons, pottery, ornaments, seals, paintings, and coins that are found during excavations. Inscriptions and edicts. Inscriptions refers to writing and text carved on solid objects like pillars, walls of temples, forts, caves, palaces, stone or copper tablets. Coins. The study of coins is called numismatics. Numerous gold, silver, copper and lead coins have been found. So many coins contain legend and inscription revealing details about the names of the rulers and the period of their reign. Burial sites. In 2010, a team of scientists from Sri Parmakalyani College in Tamil Nadu found new burial sites in western part of the Triveli district in Tamil Nadu, all belonging to the prehistoric era. These sites we have yielded clay urns give the information about the migratory practices of people of settlements. Topic is literary sources. Humans learned to write about 5,000 years ago. They used various types of scripts. So our knowledge of history is largely based on written records. History gives a special emphasis to written records such as books and manuscripts, writing on rocks, pillars, parchments, bark of beech trees, palm leaves, clay tablets, and stone walls, etc. So in the literary sources we are having manuscripts. Manuscripts is a handwritten record of information. It could be in the form of letter, writing on leaves and bark of trees or the scrolls. Palm leaf manuscripts made of dried palm leaves were commonly used in India. The other is a religious literature. Books and manuscripts that deal with religion are referred to as a religious literature. The Vedas, the epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Jainism, Angas, Buddhist Tripakas, even our Bible, Quran, all these are the religious books. So these texts helps us to understand the religious practices and beliefs and the social economic life of that period. And the secular literature. Secular literature contains all the texts that are of a non-religious literature, such as autobiographies, biographies, and the court chronicles. Harshcharita, the biography of King Harshvardhana, written by Bhanbhatta, and Abhijan Shakuntalam is written by Kalidasa, and Panchatantra and Kautilya, he wrote Arthashastra, Manusmriti. These all are the examples of secular literature. Not only that, many writers, scholars and traders visited in India and at various times and they wrote about their experiences here. Like that, Megasthenes, the Greek ambassador, visited the court of Chandragupta Maurya. He wrote a book called Indica. And our all important account include all those given by Chinese travelers also. Faihan, Yun Sang, who came to India to study Buddhism. And oral history. Oral history involves the use of interviews, myths, folk tales, songs that have been passed on from generation to generation through word of mouth. Now, the reconstruction of past. So, children, here in the coming lessons, we will learn about the people who lived in India from the prehistoric times to about 8th century CE. And the geographical location, India's topography is such that the land is almost a big continent. So, India and its neighboring countries referred to as a subcontinent. India is bound by the Himalayas in the north and seas of the on the three sides. So Himalaya is a north acted as a natural barrier of the country, protecting it from the various invaders and from the cold winds of the north and the Central Asia. And the mountain passes along with the northwest of the countries also acted as a trade routes through which many groups of such Central Asian came into the country. So many seafaring nations used to sea routes along the coast for trade and interaction. So children, the names that we use for our country today are India and Bharat. The name India is derived from the Indus River that flows through the northwestern part of the subcontinent, is referred to as a Sindhu in Sanskrit. So the Iranians and the Greek who came to India through the northwest around 2005 years ago referred to river Indus as a Hindoi or a Hindu. So the land to east of the Indus are called India. Bharat, as mentioned in Rig Vedas, was used for people who lived in the northwest and was later used for the whole country. So India is a land of rivers. People refer to live near rivers as a Ganga, Indus or Narmada rivers. Watering the fertile plains provided tremendous scope for settled life. People from north moved to south and people from the south moved to north, crossing the Vindhyas and the Satpura mountains and the rivers and the Deccan plateaus. So children, now when does history take place? When historians write about historical events, they often use BC and AD. What do they mean? BC and AD are used to indicate how many years before or after the birth of Christ an event took places. We take the year of the birth of Jesus Christ as a year one. Events that took place before the birth of Christ are referred to as a before Christ. For example, 1000 BC means 1000 years before the birth of Christ. AD stands for Anno Domini, meaning in the years of our Lord. Events taking place after the birth of Christ are denoted by AD. For example, 2000 years after the birth of Christ is written as a AD 1500. Till recently, most of the people use terms BC and AD. However, the many historians are now using term BCE and CE. We use BCE before Common Era and CE for the Common Era. Common Era is the beginning of the new era starting with the year 1 until the present.